Well, good morning, everybody. It's December the 27th, 2013. It's bitterly cold. There's been a storm overnight. I've just been into town and got myself a coffee and a burger from McDonald's while I did some shopping. Yesterday, I spoke to you about the complaints made against me, and in particular the complaint by Tony Smith, who complained I was an extremist tackling the BNP, a neo-Nazi group, seeking to remove all non-whites and Jews from the civil service and country as a whole. I was going to talk to you today about the complaints by the other members of staff, Anthony Stansfield, Nick Ivell, Phil Davis, and Tim Fisher in more depth. But I've had a bit of I thought I'll raise another thing that happened just after Douglas Howell informed me I was to be charged for being an extremist tackling the BNP, and that was it related to Jackie Pye, who was Anthony Stansfield's SO senior officer. Shortly after I blew the whistle that HMRC, Anthony Stansfield was manipulating statistics in order to make it look as though the team was performing better than it was. I was stabbed outside down the street by neo-Nazis. He and 5 members of staff submitted complaints against me, the complaints I just told you about. Well, Jackie Pye then, though, to report a medical referral suggesting I needed psychological help and I had extreme political views. I've discussed that with you already in an earlier blog. But anyway, as a consequence of that, I was sent to see a doctor in Blackburn at a medical centre for psychological evaluation. It was at the end of July 2004, around that time, that it became clear that the doctor had written his evaluation after chatting to me, and he's put in a report that I don't have any extreme political views whatsoever. I am simply a passionate student of extremist groups, focusing in particular on the BNP as part of my university MA dissertation. Well, HMRC knew that anyway, because I'd already informed them I was doing an MA on the BNP. I didn't need to, but I did. But they are absolutely fuming. The whole point of the medical referral was to try to blacken my name further, this time by suggesting I needed psychological help. In other words, because I'd blown the whistle on HMRC, I wasn't mentally right. There was something psychologically wrong with me. That was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But the good news for me, this is the end of July 2004, is that the doctor has written a report back saying what HMRC are saying is pure nonsense, that there is nothing wrong with me whatsoever. Well, the report was dated a few months earlier. I'm just discussing it with you now. There's nothing wrong with me. And quite frankly, he doesn't know what HMRC are talking about. HMRC are absolutely furious. None more than Jackie Pye, who wrote the medical referral. She said in that referral I had extreme political views, the same term Tony Smith used when he complained I was an extremist tackling the BNP, and the same term neo-Nazis have been using. The doctor said, no, he doesn't. I've never met Jackie Pye, so I'm not sure how she came to the conclusion I had extreme political views. But has she said in that referral dated December 2003 that staff were thinking of putting in complaints against me? She must have been talking to those members of staff in December 2003. In other words, she knew 5 weeks before the staff put in the complaints, or when HMRC are saying they put in the complaints. It's certainly the date. Phil Davis certainly has his dated January 2004. It means basically that Jackie Pye must have sat down with Tony Smith and all the others and held a discussion, because otherwise, how would she know that they were thinking of putting in complaints weeks before they did? So the plot thickens. We have a senior manager talking to members of staff, one of whom is complaining I'm extremely threatening the BNP. She's writing a medical referral suggesting I need psychological help. The whole purpose is to discredit me. The doctor's come back and said no, he hasn't. HMRC are fuming. Jackie Pye is absolutely fuming. A complaint has already been made against her. But I've had the disciplinary team on the phone saying that because she's a senior manager, she is above having complaints made against her. They're not prepared to look into it because they know, because the old intention is to try and get me out of HMRC for blowing the whistle, not look at complaints that I'm making against people. So anyway, I'm very pleased for the doctor that's made that, who's spoken out in my favour. Thank you very much. And it just goes to show that people who are not paid by HMRC and therefore cannot be promoted for saying what HMRC want, or demoted or sacked for saying what they don't want to hear, are quite prepared to speak out for me. HMRC have now sat in their office planning on what to do next. But as I understand it, the charges against me being extremely threatening the BNP are to continue. That's where we stand at the end of July 2004.